From the Universal Tarot, 14. Temperance. Symbolically, angels are mediators between the earthly and spiritual realms, and this is shown in several ways in the Temperance card. The angel stands on the edge of a pond, with 1 foot on land and 1 foot in the water, symbolically 1 foot in fact and 1 in faith, or 1 foot in the rational and 1 in the unconscious, and so on. The irises that grow beside the water also symbolize the relationship between heaven and earth, as the Greek god Iris is the messenger of the gods, linking them to humanity. Our own natures are made of body and spirit in combination, symbolized by the angel of temperance, blending the waters of life in the 2 chalices. The blend has a subtle balance. Too much attention to the material realm is deadening to the spirit, but too much focus on intangible things can wreak havoc with practical matters. We can restore ourselves to perfect harmony by practicing the art of temperance. Universal message. Your earthly concerns are not separate from your spirituality. Combine these aspects into one shining elixir of life. From the Initiatory Tarot of the Golden Dawn, Temperance, the 14th key, the 25th path. The figure of Temperance, represented by an angel with a solar emblem of Temperance above her brow, and wings of the aerial and volatilizing nature, pouring together the fluidic fire and the fiery water, thus combining, harmonizing, and temperating those opposing elements. 1 foot rests on dry and volcanic land, in the background of which is a volcano, whence issues an eruption. The other foot is in the water, by whose border springs fresh vegetation, contrasting strongly with the arid and dry nature of the distant land. On her breast is a square, the emblem of rectitude. The whole figure is a representation of that straight and narrow way of which it is said, "Few there be that find it," which alone leads to higher and glorified life. For to pursue that steady and tranquil mean between 2 opposing forces is indeed difficult, and there are many temptations to turn aside either to the right or to the left, wherein, remember, are to be found the menacing symbols of death and the devil. The 25th path of the Sefer Yetzirah, to which the tarot key of temperance is referred, is called the intelligence of probation, and it is so called because it is the primary temptation by which the Creator tries all righteous persons. That is, that in it there is ever present the temptation to turn aside to one hand or the other. Interpretation in the tarot reading. Combination of forces. Realization. Action. Material. Effect either for good or for evil. From the Science Tarot. Tolerance of uncertainty. 14. Temperance. 3 blindfolded people touch the same unknown object. The first insists the object is a flexible brush. The second argues that it is a snake-like object, and the third asserts it is a stone pillar. Each thinks the other 2 ideas are preposterous and nonsensical in comparison to their own hands-on experience. When the 3 finally remove their blindfolds, they are surprised to discover they were in agreement all along. They each described different parts of the same elephant. This old tale portrays the limitations of perception. Our quest for knowledge must be tempered with a tolerance of uncertainty. Successful scientific study and human society both require patient discourse and a willingness to allow for our own limited interpretations. The Temperance card reminds us to seek balance in our pursuits. In putting aside our absolutes, no matter how certain they appear, we opt for tolerance of others' experience to gain a better understanding of the world, our companions, and ourselves. From the Tarot of Shadows, Arcana 14, Mirrors. The idea of seeking ways to view our own reflection, image, is as old as humanity is itself. Humans used the surface of water as a kind of a prototype mirror, before the arrival of polished obsidian, broadly used in China and Central America, and polished bronze discs that were found widespread in countries around the Mediterranean Sea. A new type of mirror, concave, appeared in 1240 when humans discovered the technique to create blown glass vessels. In the early 1500s, Europeans came up with a superior method which involved the coating of glass with mercury. This technique produced far more accurate mirrors. Mirrors have been used as signs and related to many superstitions and mystical stories. According to some researchers, one is possible to see the past in old mirrors that have always been kept at the same place. For example, the famous medieval mystic Cornelius Agrippa used to show his guests their beloved ones in a magic mirror, and not only those alive, but also those dead. Some people even watched moments from their past lives in such mirrors. Prophets such as Nostradamus and Cagliostro believed that some special mirrors can foretell the future. An old legend speaks of Alexander the Great's worries before the battle with the Persians in 331 BC. He was unable to sleep and kept staring into his field mirror for long. What will happen tomorrow? Suddenly, his mirror reflection gave way to images of the future battle and his victory. It is also believed that mirrors can serve as memory safes, capturing everything that has ever been reflected in them. An Englishman with the name of von Berg was able to solve crimes based on images stored in a special mirror's memory safe. Sorcerers, wizards, and other servants of both white and black magic devoted many years of their life perceiving and understanding the properties of magic crystal mirrors. They realized that by staring at them, they were able to predict the future. A magic mirror offers a way into unknown dimensions. Paracelsus was the first to explain the phenomenon of mirrors. For him, mirrors were a tunnel between two worlds, the physical and the invisible. Furthermore, he argued that it is precisely through this tunnel that information from these unknown dimensions penetrates the world of the living. This is obviously the powerful energy that affects the human psyche, creating hallucinations and visions. Based on the theories of Paracelsus, doctors of the past have used mirrors for hypnosis and other sorts of suggestive procedures. Card meaning: illusion, delusion, unwillingness to see your shortcomings, reflecting aspects of human behavior. As you sow, so shall you reap. When this arcana shows up in a reading, it is advisable to get another card to clarify what mirrors refers to exactly. A positive card, your suspicions are false. A negative card, internal complexes, estrangement, alienation, exclusion, treason, double life, a secret enemy, a thief. From the Osho Zen Tarot. 14. Integration. The image of integration is the unio mystica, the fusion of opposites. This is a time of communication between the previously experienced dualities of life. Rather than night opposing day, dark suppressing light, they work together to create a unified whole, turning endlessly one into the other, each containing its deepest core, the seed of the opposite. The eagle and the swan are both beings of flight and majesty. The eagle is the embodiment of power and aloneness. The swan is the embodiment of space and purity, gently floating and diving upon and within the element of the emotions, entirely content and complete with her perfection and beauty. We are the union of eagle and swan, male and female, fire and water, life and death. The card of integration is the symbol of self-creation, new life, a mystical union, otherwise known as alchemy. The conflict is in man. Unless it is resolved there, it cannot be resolved anywhere else. The politics is within you. It is between the two parts of the mind. A very small bridge exists. If that bridge is broken through some accident, through some physiological defect or something else, the person becomes split. The person becomes two persons, and the phenomenon of schizophrenia or split personality happens. If the bridge is broken, and the bridge is very fragile, then you become two. You behave like two persons. In the morning you are very loving, very beautiful. In the evening you are very angry, absolutely different. You don't remember your morning. How can you remember? Another mind was functioning, and the person becomes two persons. If this bridge is strengthened so much that the two minds disappear as two and become one, then integration, then crystallization arises. What George Gurdjieff used to call the crystallization of being is nothing but these two minds becoming one, the meeting of the male and the female within, the meeting of yin and yang, the meeting of the left and right, the meeting of logic and illogic, the meeting of Plato and Aristotle.